Okay, and the galactic event for this turn may spell the Rebels' doom. Galactic Peace Month, that sounds pleasant. Imperial military units and characters are not restricted by strategic assignment. They can move their units entirely as they see fit for this campaign turn. That means wherever the Rebels go to, whatever they do, I can follow them. And I can build a huge pile of units probably out in space outside of them. Enough to catch them. This is one of the more unbalanced cards. If it comes up early, it's not too big a deal because there just aren't enough Imperial military units. But I was able to build a bunch more. Some extra patrols, even an elite navy. I don't remember, but I'm tracking the maintenance costs there. Moreover, the Rebels were stupid. Well, no. They were hoping for the rebellion there. They thought they had it. But now there's a level 2 PDB there. They must get it to get out. I can't chance going up from there. And, well, it's an unsafe situation. I'm also able to do, if there's a type of atrocity that can be done with that, with a level 2 PDB, I can strafe the planet, which eliminates all military units on the planet, and all missions get aborted, all characters get a wound, but the PDB loses a point. And it's not a great option, but if that does go into rebellion, and I haven't lost control of the PDB yet, which might be, and I get that option, it would be a single potentially powerful use. The combination is very unlikely, though. All right, and, well, we draw this, but it doesn't mean a thing. Province 1, Province 5. I would have been in position to handle these guys, but not this pile. And, well, I think we got a lot of trouble coming up. And as we finish up the Rebel player turn, over here, they got one result on the diplomacy. Over here, they once again split into 3 missions, scavenge for possessions, start Rebel camp, which actually I think succeeded. I had the wrong... No, I think I did a diplomacy accidentally that I didn't want to do. I really wanted to do a start Rebel camp, but I screwed up there and did diplomacy instead, I think. Sabotage. The sabotage is the only one that worked. The problem was that they got the disagreeable food, which wipes out everybody's bonus draws, and I hadn't had any there. I also got an advantage over here where a rebel camp managed to dissolve itself from existence. Now, the reason I absolutely wanted to get the PDB down was so I could get out of there. But the loyalty is so high there that I wanted a rebel camp to let it kind of play itself out for a while. Didn't do that because I guess I screwed up or something. I don't know. Anyway, on to the... Well, because the Imperials could pile everything on, you can see large clusters where the rebels are conglomerated. And I used, these guys are going to have healed. Barca's crew wasn't, they misjumped. But I decided to use my characters. Red Jack has a bonus on this. The other set, Galba, Vens, Katia, or whatever, on assassination missions. That sounded exciting. You get to target one enemy detected character and just try to put them out of your misery. And in my case, the best thing to do is take their pilots down. Lie over here. Which, those are their only 5-point pilots. That would severely harm the rebel cause if I succeeded. Unfortunately, my little sheet, there's only 2 maximum successful assassinations, and there's a bad effect to not getting it. There's a 50-50 chance that you lose your characters, essentially. And that's what happened here. Everybody died. That's not good. And then maybe I should have only sent one character, but they would have gotten wiped out. Whoever would have done it would have gotten wiped out by the monster there. very easily. Whereas here, well, it was not successful, but it also didn't end up killing my characters. Basically, the risk of failure on an assassination is so high that it was a dumb move to make. May have breathed a little bit of life into the rebels, but they have got to get out of here. Oops, I forgot to launch this Navy attack here. Now, that's only a 1-to-1 attack, which may not seem too great, but I need 2 dice for this. The reason it's particularly good is that I have 5 points of damage I can take, and the defender cannot possibly do that much to me. So, roll 3 and I hit him. He does not hit me. Oop. Maybe I got that upside down. It was 1-to-1, 3. I only do 1 to him, which isn't enough. He does 4 to me, which isn't enough because I have a 5 there. So that'll be here, and he gets to escape for a round. But now, if the rebels don't get out of here, I get to conduct a search with this whole pile. And likewise over here, I've got a small amount of troops on planet, and I can throw another unit into place as a reaction move. And then, you know, that could be a suicide squad or something. So I kind of have to get out of here because the Imperials had as much possibility to move as to where they wanted to hit as they can. And this is actually a real problem because there's no place safe I can go either. Uh-oh. It feels like it's time to finally do a little bit of analysis just because I'm so far up Schitt's Creek. And it's not too hard to do here. The rebels are sitting here in 2 locations, both of which they have to assume there's a suicide squad. So if they are discovered, they will be wiped out. All right, so what's the chance of getting discovered? And let's look at each of these. The chance here is going to be the search value. Okay, that'll be the military strength points. Well, I got 4 units there. That could be a 12, say, easily. So let's say we're in this column. My hiding value is going to be intelligence plus environment size minus the number of characters. Well, intelligence here is this group. Looks like it's 3. Environment size puts it to 8. Minus 4 puts it to a 4. So I have about a 50-50 chance of being caught. And presumably killed if I'm caught. If I don't have military units here. Coming out here, if I sail up, I'm facing a level 2 PDB. And let's just say there's 12 points of space units there. I don't know what there really is. I know that there's a 5-pointer. So chances are actually closer to 13. But 12 divided by 4 says I get 3 column shifts for that. 2 column shifts for the PDB being at level 2. That's a total of 5 column shifts. My escape rating is only a 7 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That puts me here. Now, I'm not too concerned about the DD results. I'll get damaged, great, I'll lose my ship. Then I'm in deep shit, but such is. That's better than an eliminated or than a squadron being able to come after me, which will probably finish me off as well since there's an elite naval unit there. So there's a good chance that'll wipe me out. I'm in trouble no matter what. I got about a 50% chance of surviving this and about a 50% chance of surviving on there. Neither one's a good result. Over here, the odds on the ground are probably worse. The PDB's down, so I'm going to try to run out of there. But there is a big stack of units there. I don't know what to do. I'll come back in a bit. I was lying about the evasion rating of Ranjama here flying out. He can use his navigation of 5 when he's jumping, but the interstellar sloop only has a 2 maneuver rating. He can only be 1 higher than that, so his base is a 5. He's going to be on the worst table here. That means a 50% chance of immediate elimination, 50% chance of being wiped out. Approximately what I expected. I think it's better to take my chance on the ground with him. So I'm going to make the attempt to jump out of there, see what the hell I can do, and see if I can stand it out there and create a rebellion. But I think I'm just doomed no matter what. Well, one of the ways to keep from getting caught is to be where you can't be caught, lost in space. I made a big enough jump that even had I made it somewhere successfully, the Imperials probably couldn't catch me. Maybe the characters could. This is actually a good place to be too. There's a planet that, you know, is close to throwing itself into rebellion there. So that was a positive attempt. I ended up lost in space. Now I can't be caught at all by the Imperials, and I get to jump again next turn or next phase, and the Imperials will not be able to catch me. But here I got a bad roll. Actually, it wasn't 50-50. I only needed a 2. The Imperials weren't able to get as many search points as they were, but they got that 2. And they have a Suicide Squad. And the Suicide Squad is destroyed along with the characters. Whoops. That's actually it for the Rebel turn. They're out of Rebel bases. There's nothing left. They had their military unit wiped out up here. All they got is this one stack, and not a lot they can do with it, to be honest. Now I've got to try to reposition the Imperials into a somewhat more reasonable status, because I certainly don't want to be focused the way I am, you know, on 2 planets. But I still have this free event that allows me to spread out a little bit and try to position myself based on what I'm going to be able to move next turn and whatnot. And that will be Province 1 and Province 5, which isn't terribly helpful to the Imperials because the rebels are being down here. I may want to keep some forces close to there just in order to react in case a rebellion occurs there. Okay, and the Imperials are done. That moves us into turn 11. They didn't really succeed at anything. Bunch of shifting around. Diplomacy here failed. Summon Sovereign here failed. Nothing good happening. But this is actually the point where I often seem to give up. Rebels down to 1 group. No hope left. But not really. It's a little better than usual. This group's twice the size of what I'm used to seeing. Usually it's down to like 3 or 4 characters, and that's when I just say, you know, it is done. I think it is. I think it's over. But I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to play it out to the bloody end, although I may well try tapping into this and see if I can do something with those rebel resources, throw a bunch of troops on the board, and see if I can get... But that frees the Imperials as soon as I do that. It frees them to do whatever they like. And their forces are bigger than these 50 points or 40 points or whatever. There's just not really anything that can be done at this point. And this is what I'm used to in the game. It's not, gee, if the game could only go 10 more turns for me. There's just... The Empire snowballs to a powerful position just too quickly. All right, well, we'll load this one up because No, we haven't. I thought we had spent a lot on this video, but we haven't. So, yeah, I guess we'll continue and play more turns before we load it up. Okay, well, we were able to tax the big first province. Huge amounts of money this time. I think about 50... just off taxation, plus the 13 from the special planets. Enough to pay for these big stacks. Those are mainly patrol units. That's all I have left to buy, other than militia, which, contrary to certain suggestions, never seems worth it to me. It's just too easy to wipe out. Yeah, the ghosts are acting up. The event for the turn is screwed up hyper jumps. It adds 2 to hyper jump distance being traveled by any units moving into or out of Province 1. So if you're crossing any of the barriers of Province 1. That's kind of a pain in the ass, especially since my taxation was in Province 1, and I'm going to be connecting between Province 1 and 5 for whatever that's worth. But that's okay. The rebels aren't really concerned with that. And they're sort of on their own now. one little group. It's a long way to get any new characters, and probably not enough game left to make it worth doing, so I don't know. Well, we'll see how it all works out. Imperials left things pretty unprotected here. Remember, the loyalty was down at unrest. Went in and said, hey, what the hell, this is the Suvans' home planet. Let's try to convert it. Let's throw it into rebellion. Well, the problem is, throwing something into rebellion, there aren't bonus draws for that. And this is all part of the hard part. There are no bonus draws for it. And the other action I took was a sabotage action to try to flip the PDB down. Just, you know, a standard cost for being Imperials or something like that. Try to reduce their effectiveness somehow. Anyway, although I don't know, if I put it into rebellion the way the rules are now, or ever, even as written, no reason to drop the PDB level. I'll take over the planet either way. But the problem is, this is a very small environment. Only 3. And, well, there are a lot of effects. 5 cards in there, but I didn't get one of them. And without the bonus draws, without this being anyone's home planet, it didn't happen. That would have been a nice domino effect if I could have gotten it. But, no. And, well, actually I got a bad effect that caused a revolution or something like that to fail. I don't remember what it was. I don't know. There's a card that throws Civil War that threw the loyalty back to 0. So now it's no longer such a great plan. I could still split into 2 missions, do a diplomacy mission to try to drop it down. It's not a bad place, but I just don't get that many bonus draws. Much happened on the Imperial turn. I shifted some forces forward. Failed to summon Sovereign, failed to get a diplomacy, failed to stop the rebellion, you know. But for the Rebel turn, we got the big hit here. You can see it's thrown into rebellion. Managed to get both the diplomacy 2 points and the rebellion, both of which cause domino effects. I don't know why this is orbiting a planet that doesn't even exist. Just the visual of the board makes it difficult to see planets not existing anymore. Okay, so that created a number of different domino effects. All the Suvan planets went down 2, essentially. The only one that was really exciting is over here at Zamarox. That's down to unrest and now available again to be flung into rebellion. Unfortunately, it's not in the best of places for me to take advantage of it. But, not a lot of troops here. A little barely spacefaring unit from the 3 points that I'm able to grab from that. But it adds some more points on here, and, well, you know, you take what you can get, right? Of course, this means the Imperials can all jump here from any capitals that they're on, so that's kind of a problem. The Imperials are able to slip a pretty significant stack in there. Some kind of strays floating out, but, you know, they had a lot of troops over here, and they didn't even use them all. They could have taken more chances trying to fling more in, but they went for the best units only. And you can see it's going to be a tough job for Lai to get out of there, but that's what this stage of the game starts to look like. And we move to turn 12, and that'll be the economic phase there. That's going to be a taxation of the 2nd province, so we're going to have to start shifting our way over because it's getting a little hot where we are. Okay, so the event this time was the Emperor's eligible young recruits are struck by a wave of scholarly enthusiasm. What this means is I can't build any more Imperial troops this turn. I was able to upgrade PDBs, but I didn't choose to actually upgrade any. I flipped one over to the positive side somewhere over here in province 2. which is the province I taxed, but I noticed one that was down, that's all. I don't think there are any others, but it's hard to tell. There are a few blue counters around, and they could be. And then I also pull one of these, and this is Province 1 and Province 2 are going to be combined. And the fact that the Imperials weren't able to spend a lot of money, although Province 2 was really poor, and only pulled a total of like 12 on its own plus the 13 special bucks, still, the fact that I can't build anything meant I've got most of that money left. I think I forgot to pay taxes on it, though. Drop it to there. But there's still enough cash on the Imperial track to steal enemy resources. Mission becomes somewhat valuable. If one letter comes up, it gives you $2 transferred from one track to the other. If 2 letters come up, though, you get $8, and that's a significant chunk of change, actually. And I could do that a couple of times. The problem is, in order to do it, I have to either be in Province 2, which sounds awfully risky to me, or be on a capital planet, which is usually fairly risky, but the one over here doesn't look terribly dangerous. The one over here isn't too hot, wherever it is. There's a significant force on it, and then I could cluster all this Province 3 force over to it. So I'm probably going to work my way over there and maybe see if I can get some extra bucks that way, because it's hard to get them off of the normal means of revolt. Not that I'm going to be able to finish this out with a victory for the rebels. I think that's pretty much assured. But, well, I may extend the game just to see if the rebellion can possibly survive and keep going. Alright, on to them rebels then. There were significant naval forces that were moved into place to face the rebels there. Enough to give me 4 column shifts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got a DD result. Or no, I'm sorry, a D-star result, which means I'm detected and there's a force that hits me. There's an Imperial Elite Navy there, so that's a 5 strength point unit. This could be the game. And I've only got 2 points of shielding. Oh, did the scanner help? It dropped the PDB 1 level. Yeah, that didn't mean anything because I didn't get a shot in. Okay, so that means I'm on the +3 table. I can't try to withdraw, and the attacker will succeed in doing something to me on anything but a 1. But a 5 or 6, game's over. Hey, I get away. Alright, let's see where I've slipped into the Pyrad home planet with the hopes of getting another domino effect off this. There's a problem here. 1, I'm detected, which means the Imperials can slip down and attack. But I haven't been doing that much, and why? Well, this guy's got a 3 strength point. If he drops down there, he'll be, assuming I detect him and find him, he'll be a 3-point squad. He'll have an 8 combat and a 6 endurance. That's child's play for this force. It's child's play for most forces. Yes, it's gunpowder, so double damage or something. I could do a couple of hits on the rebel characters. But to me, it's more important to keep this up here. Of course, I could slip it back up during my own turn. So what the hell? I'll go down there and see if I can find him. Why don't we fight this out? Oh, well, we'll see how it works. Because I haven't been much worrying about it. So intelligence, it's going to be intelligence plus environ size minus number of characters. So, I've got an intelligence of 4. That's probably as high as it goes, yeah. 4, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, it sounds like I have a 1 hiding value, which doesn't do me much good. My search value is only a 3. So, on a 1 or 2, the squad finds him. It doesn't, no biggie there. If that was a suicide squad, I would definitely dive it in there, because they're really cool. They wipe out the whole group. Anyway, we'll go on to the missions for the rebels. Groups doing diplomacy missions all together give you lots and lots of bonus draws. Big, nice thing. Was able to get the 2 level there, swept through all the Pyrad planets, hitting them all with another layer of it. So, you know, we've got planets like this beginning to teeter. Leads me to think Yeah, this is what my wife taught me, and this is what I've learned several times, much against the play guide. So there's these advice to the new player: hey, don't just go out and do diplomacy and then rebellions everywhere. You know, do some rebel camps, do some this, that. Yeah, sounds like fun, right? Except it doesn't work. But this might, and this is what I learned before. If you can get big enough groups together and slip them into planets and do targeted hits on these home planets that are racial homes, you can start cranking everything down with those 2-point conversions, with the rebellions, with this, with that. But you know what? The game doesn't, the advice in the game tells you the opposite. It says, no, that's too simple. You don't want to do that. That's how you'll get screwed. No, it's not how you get screwed. It's actually probably the only way you can win it. But every time that I play it, I keep in mind the advice that is given back here in the player's notes to the game, where it says you can do all these cool little things here, performing effective missions while the Imperial's resting between diplomacy missions. A well-planned rebellion is not go to a planet, do diplomacy, do start rebellion. Yeah, well, maybe it is. You know, maybe that is the key to perhaps being able to handle this, is make sure that you gather your characters so you have enough of them to succeed, so that you can actually hit 2 levels here, so that you can actually get a success on the R when you need it. And then just watch as the domino effect gives you help elsewhere. Because trying to play it cleverly the way that it suggests in here, no, that doesn't work. I know that. I've done that so many times. Yet it's always at the end of the game that I begin to say, wow, their advice was bullshit. The Imperials are able to put down the military side of that rebellion. I forgot to try to jump this guy somewhere. I don't know. I don't really care anymore. He can't go anywhere else. And let's see. Over here, nothing really happening in the missions. I did get a 2-point shift, though, over here with Els Tarlovs and his group. They took a lot of damage, so they're going to have to rest. But that 2-point shift was enough to shift some other thing. This isn't a home planet, but it is a starfaring race, the Segundians. I don't remember where it is. It really doesn't make much difference. I'm just really furious because I'm realizing why it is that this game, you know, it's got all these fun little toys, and then it actually tells you, use these fun little toys, you really need them, which would be my initial impression, but I'm again feeling like the only way that it's possible to win, because there are people who seem to indicate that the rebels have some chance, is to do exactly everything that both the game advice and the design of the game seems to indicate you wouldn't want to do. And, you know, if it all just comes down to the rebels running around and doing lots of diplomacy missions and rebellions, I'm kind of furious about the game, actually. But I think that is what I learned last time I played. And I've probably learned it other times. Is this, oh, gee, you can actually be successful if you don't, you know, play the game, if in terms of you don't take advantage of all this kind of cool stuff that's available in it. You don't take advantage of the storyline stuff, and instead you just worry about, yep, there's one goal. That one goal is to get those planets to topple, and you know, it's just target and fixate on that like a laser. I'm not saying you don't do some gather characters, because your initial character set probably isn't enough, and you might do a possession here and there. But those become your secondary goals. You don't run around creating rebel camps all over the place, because they are garbage. All right. And even, you know, even if that is a workable strategy, it's no guaranteed strategy. Which is to say, hey, drawing here, I got knocked out of my bonus draws, so I didn't get the diplomacy. I would have gotten the rebellion otherwise. Secondary mission worked fine, but I didn't get the single diplomacy that I needed to trigger that rebellion. No big deal there. I mean, that's the expected. If I had a couple of big groups doing this kind of stuff, I'd have the Empire reeling at this point, I'm pretty sure. Even maybe this late in the game, but I don't know. I could have done it right at the beginning. Why not? Why did I bother with all those camps? Well, because the game suggests that you do, and because it has all these rules about all kind of cool stuff. Yeah, on to the... Okay, so the Imperials throw a bunch of troops on top of here. They can basically collect anything from that sector and throw it in there because it's a homeworld of a race. That makes it a little tougher on the rebels. They're going to probably want to get the PDB down, so they may have to stick around there a little longer. I don't know. And other than that, we move into there. Now, at least we're lucky in that it's the third province that's going to be taxed and not the fourth. If it was the fourth that was going to be taxed, this would go up and it would become infinitely harder. Oh well. Alright. Onward. Galactic event this turn. Jamming signals. No Imperial units can move across a province boundary, even if the planet's in rebellion. And no domino effects can be initiated this turn. None at all. That's kind of a weird mixture. Overall, the rebels are going to be slowed down by it, so if I was close to this, that would be painful, I guess. Not being able to move the Imperials across boundary, though, can really screw up their plans. My province choices, I had taxation in province 3, are again a 1 to 2. So I'm not going to be able to use anything I built in province 3. My build choices were pretty limited. An Imperial Navy and a planetary stabilizer. The planetary stabilizer mainly because if I can station that sucker over these guys, like with the Suicide Squad, I'll have a way to eliminate the rebel player completely. Is that something I'd be likely to do as the Imperials? No, but I am getting kind of bored of the game at this point. The game drags after about turn 10, and this is happening here again. It's so exciting to begin with, but once it becomes the hunt for a single rebel stack, you know, I'm willing to destroy a planet for that. The Emperor's tired. Alright, on to the rebels. My confusion about if you draw a repeat of an action event, well, here's part of why it is. Ignores the first creature attacks characters event in a special or wild environment. I guess that means the second one will still show up, and you can't ignore that. But by stating it as first, it makes it sound like you get hit by every one, which is, of course, how I was playing it. It's, you know, not very conducive to remembering the rules when they make statements like that. I can reconcile it, it's just, it's disturbing. Anyway, there are still a significant number of Imperial credits on the track, so I went for the full gather steel resources along with the diplomacy. Diplomacy got me 1. The steel resources, I only got 1 result. Probably not really worth it, but there aren't a lot of options I could have done here. Build Rebel Camp would have been a good option, but that would have been a better option than the diplomacy, probably. I don't know. I'm kind of obviously disturbed at this point by the game and other things, and I don't know. It just, the rebel camps are so easy to squish that one group going around creating them probably isn't going to do me a lot of good. Since this is a capital, the Imperials can jump their forces back over there, but they weren't a big problem even with the PDB up, and I managed to set the PDB down last turn. The Imperials can't do a whole lot to react. They can't cross province boundaries. Okay, so the Imperials shift what military they can to the capital. Remember, they can't cross provincial lines. And Elsa's group rests. They had been injured. Varka's group succeeded in putting this in a state of rebellion stopped. At the end of the rebel turn, because there's a Imperial military unit there, it's going to just convert over to, because we don't worry about the PDBs anymore, it's going to convert over to Imperial control. Now, it's still kind of problematic. I want to start doing some diplomacy and such. And John Cadu took a hit here. So I may not want him on the mission. I'm not sure. Because there are, advantages to having more strength in the mission, as it were. And then over here, well, we came close, but the mission got canceled in mid-flight. So now Lai's group has to try to pull out of here, or, well, they could try to conduct some sort of diplomacy there. But chances are, there's not that much money here. That's the reason they were there. Let's get out while the PDB is down, because that can be flipped back up if I don't get out now. And we come to the end of turn 13. And what have we gotten? Well, the Imperials didn't have a lot they could do. The Rebels misjumped and ended up out in space. They're trying to make their way to Clone World, where they can get a bunch more rebels and try to start this whole thing over again. For the Imperials, well, they stayed where they are and did their missions and didn't get much. I got 2 diplomacy reactions here. I need a third one to move it as far as possible, because remember, it's welcome rebels. Drawing for that third one, it aborted the mission, caused problems. And yes, I used whoever's there. John Cadu, who got injured. And over here, close, constantly getting 1E, but not getting 2, which is what I need because he's a neutral leader, whatever. So on to the next economic phase. So good old Province 4 here produced very little revenue. Our event for the turn is screwing with Imperial hyperjump. Well, military units hyperjump, their navigation's reduced by 1. Which means I have a little bit less ability to jump around with the Imperials. That's fine. Very little cash came in from Sector 4. It's not a tremendously rich sector, but also a lot of the loyalties were down low, and I basically increased all but 2 planets' loyalty just to help. Some of them have very low loyalty to begin with, but that still was able to rise. And now we move into the Rebel player turn that we used up. This is the last of these, Province 1 to Province 4, which means we got this connection. What does that mean? Well, there are only 14 of those cards. The next 6 turns, we actually have to pre-program. And I can actually pre-program the next 14 turns in a row if I wanted to extend the game. Basically, I think the assumption is by this point, the Rebel player will have revealed their base. And I've got kind of this feeling of, gee, maybe I should. But I know this will get wiped out. I know this isn't enough cash to handle this situation. The Imperials have a very, very powerful navy, and they can flock it anywhere they like once that base is revealed. So there's kind of the, well, needs to be more rebellions going on, and that's not really happening at this point. The Imperial cash flow is just so much greater than the Rebel cash flow. Of course, they also have expenditures, which the Rebels don't have, but whatever. Try to see how much longer Lai's in this little groups can hold out. Combination of gain characters and scavenge possessions, and part of it worked, part of it didn't. We got a character, Xena Adora, joy. Not really a great bonus character. Not one of the ones I really want here. But, whatever, I have to fill out my dance card, as it were. But I do need a possession. I need to get a spaceship here. And I've got a problem, which is that the longer I stick around here trying to pick stuff up, the harder this is going to be. Someone might be able to remain on planet undetected. In fact, if they don't do anything, they will remain undetected. So what I may do is leave her there, or someone, and lift off and go somewhere else and just try rotating around the board. Because as it stands right now, well, I have at least one more shot at getting there because nobody can actually land there right now. The Imperials don't have the ability to get there. So I got at least one more turn that I can try to gather characters. And as long as Rebel characters don't do anything, they won't get caught, which is kind of cool. They'll be undetected. You have no right to search for them. Of course, they're not helping anything, but they'd be hiding out on this planet perfectly fine, and that's kind of cool. All right, on to the Imperials, who probably aren't going to be able to do. And the Imperials basically did nothing. I had a couple of characters that needed resting here and here. These guys did a diplomacy, didn't get any success. The Rebels went on, but they split into 3 groups with the extra character. Gain character, scavenge possession, start rebel camp. The only thing they succeeded in was the rebel camp. I'm going to be leaving here. I got to make the decision. Do I take... do I take Xena with me? She has not been detected yet, I believe. So I can leave her behind, or I can take her with me, but if I take her with me, I have to discard the Noroks, which are actually kind of useful. Probably more so than she is. So I'll probably leave her behind. And we're moving into the final Imperial turn in this turn. And again, they're not going to be able to do anything, but they'll get to at least attempt at this. At the end of turn 14, the only real effect, the Imperials finally managed to get Zelagreb, who is Drakagreb's father, actually, and is more pro-Imperial, obviously, not being a rebel character. He's a neutral monarch and can be converted either way. Odin Hobart's father is, I don't remember where he is, but he's actually just a pro-Imperial leader. You can't even convert him pro-rebel. Odell Hobart here. Anyway, that's it, and I'm going to load this one up as we move into turn 15, and that's going to be a Zone 5 taxation. That's not terribly good for the Rebels. It means that this gets to be pumped up to level 2 up, which will be kind of problematic, but you know, it's kind of a, I gotta do what I gotta do. If I get all shot down, great, it's over, you know. All right, up it goes.